It started with a trembling voice over the intercom. "Security, please meet us at the gate." The passengers went quiet, eyes darting around in confusion. No one knew it yet, but that announcement was about a 13-year-old boy named Elijah, whose only crime was being in the wrong place at the wrong time. Just 2 hours earlier, everything had been perfect. Elijah and his 21-year-old sister Maya were on their way home from visiting their grandmother in Atlanta. It was their first time flying together. Maya had saved up for months to make the trip special for him. She'd even surprised him with a new pair of wireless headphones for his birthday, which he hadn't stopped wearing since they boarded. Maya was a photography student, quiet, observant, and always behind a camera lens. She loved capturing ordinary moments. The smile of a stranger, sunlight hitting a window, the way her little brother's eyes lit up when he saw clouds from above. On this flight, her camera was rolling off and on, filming pieces of their trip for a short vlog she was making for their grandmother. The plane ride itself was peaceful, almost serene. A baby giggled a few rows behind them. A middle-aged man across the aisle dozed with a newspaper on his chest. The hum of the engine blended with soft conversation and laughter. For Elijah, it felt like an adventure. For Maya, it felt like a memory she'd keep forever. Then came the flight attendant, tall, perfectly groomed, and smiling with that practiced, polite warmth. Her name tag read Laura. She moved gracefully down the aisle, checking seatbelts, picking up trash, asking if anyone needed water. She looked calm, professional, and completely harmless. But sometimes, the people who seem calmest are the ones who spark the biggest storms. As the plane began its descent, Maya pointed her camera toward the window, capturing the orange glow of sunset over the clouds. Elijah reached under his seat to grab his small black backpack, the one with his wallet inside. He zipped it open, frowning. It wasn't there. He searched again. The wallet, a small brown one Maya had given him, holding his student ID and a few dollars, was gone. "Maybe it slipped under your seat," Maya said gently, crouching down to help. But before she could finish, a shadow fell across them. It was Laura. Her eyes were sharp now, her voice firm. "Excuse me," she said. "We have a problem." Laura's voice sliced through the air like a blade, calm on the surface, but with an edge that made people turn their heads. "I need you to open your bag," she said, looking straight at Elijah. Her tone wasn't curious. It was accusing. Maya blinked, caught off guard. "I'm sorry, what?" Laura folded her arms, shifting her weight with authority. "A passenger in seat 17B reported a missing wallet during the flight. Your brother," she said, nodding toward Elijah, was seen standing near their seat. A murmur rippled through the cabin. Heads turned. Phones subtly lifted. Elijah froze, his chest tightening as dozens of eyes seemed to land on him all at once. I didn't take anything," he stammered, his voice trembling. "I was just looking for my charger. I dropped it." Laura raised an eyebrow. "Then you won't mind if I take a look in your backpack?" Her tone wasn't a request, it was a command. She reached for the bag, but Maya quickly stepped between them, her voice shaking but firm. "You can't just accuse him like that. He's 13. You have no right to search his stuff." Laura's polite mask faltered for the first time. "Ma'am, I'm doing my job. We take theft seriously on this airline." "Theft?" Maya repeated, her heart pounding. "Do you hear yourself? You're accusing a child." By now, other passengers were whispering. Some frowned in discomfort. Others looked away, pretending not to notice. The tension was thick, suffocating, and Elijah stood in the middle of it, frozen, his small hands gripping his backpack straps so tightly his knuckles turned white. Laura leaned in slightly, lowering her voice, but not her condescension. "If he's innocent, there's nothing to worry about. But I can't ignore a report." Elijah's voice cracked. "I didn't do anything." His eyes were glassy with tears. Maya's instinct screamed to protect him, but she also knew, one wrong move, one raised voice, and they'd be seen as the problem. So she took a breath, forcing her tone steady. "Fine," she said coldly. "Call security. You're not touching his bag until they're here." Laura hesitated, her jaw tightening. "As you wish." She turned sharply and walked toward the front, speaking into her radio. As she disappeared down the aisle, Maya noticed something she hadn't before, the small red light blinking on her camera. It had been recording ever since she started filming the landing. And that tiny, unplanned detail would soon become their only lifeline. The moment the plane stopped at the gate, the calm that usually follows landing was gone. No one was reaching for luggage or chatting about connecting flights. Everyone was watching, waiting. The air felt heavy, thick with judgment and curiosity. Two airport security officers stepped on board, their expressions neutral but authoritative. Laura stood near the front, arms folded, her chin slightly raised like a performer waiting for her cue. "This is the boy," she said immediately, pointing at Elijah without hesitation. Passenger in 17B said his wallet disappeared mid-flight. The boy was seen near the seat. Elijah shrank back in his chair. His face was pale, his eyes wide with fear. He looked up at the officers and then at his sister. "I swear I didn't do anything," he whispered. Maya's heart pounded. "He's 13, she said firmly, standing beside him. "You can't treat him like a suspect. Check the seats. Check the floor. But you are not searching him like this." The older officer sighed, his voice calm. "Ma'am, if he's innocent, we'll clear it up quickly. We just need to verify." But Maya could see it. The glances, the whispers, the phones recording discreetly. To everyone else, it looked like a scene from a crime show. A young black boy surrounded by authority, a stern flight attendant accusing him, and a nervous sister trying to intervene. Her hands shook. She needed to do something. Anything. That's when she remembered. Her camera. She'd been recording during the descent. The lens had been facing the aisle. Maybe, just maybe, it had captured something. Maya quickly dug into her tote bag and pulled it out, her thumb scrolling through the playback. The screen flickered, shaky footage, passengers standing, overhead bins opening. Her heart raced as she scrubbed through the clip second by second. Then she saw it. Frame by frame, it became clear. Laura, reaching up to adjust a bag in the overhead bin right above seat 17B. As she moved, a small brown wallet slid out of an open purse and dropped behind the seat. Laura didn't notice. Seconds later, Elijah bent down, not near that row, but at his own, to tie his shoelace. Maya's breath caught. Her throat tightened with anger and relief. She looked up at the officers, voice trembling but steady. "I have proof," she said. They froze. "Proof?" Maya turned the screen toward them. "Proof that my brother didn't steal anything." For a heartbeat, the cabin went silent. So silent that even the hum of the air conditioning seemed to fade. All eyes turned to Maya as she held up the camera, her hands trembling slightly. On the small screen, the video played in grainy detail, but what it revealed was crystal clear. "There," she said, her voice rising with emotion. "Watch closely." The two security officers leaned in, their eyes narrowing. The passengers craned their necks to see. The footage showed Laura, elegant, composed, reaching into the overhead bin near seat 17B, adjusting a woman's handbag. Then, as she pulled her hand back, a wallet slipped from the purse and fell behind the seat. Seconds later, Elijah appeared in the frame, crouching at his own row, far from the incident. He wasn't even looking in that direction. The first officer straightened up slowly. "Ma'am," he said carefully, turning to Laura. "It looks like the wallet fell accidentally. There's no indication the boy touched it." Laura's face drained of color. That can't be right," she stammered. "I didn't even notice that fall. He must have picked it up afterward." But before she could finish, a woman from the front of the plane stood up, voice firm and clear. "I saw the whole thing," she said. "That little boy never even went near that seat." Murmurs spread through the cabin. People who had stayed silent were suddenly speaking up, defending Elijah, condemning the accusation. A man with a business suit shook his head. "Unbelievable," he muttered. "You owe them an apology." Laura's composure shattered. Her once practiced professionalism melted into panic. I was just following procedure," she said weakly. Maya stepped forward, her voice steady but filled with fury. "Procedure?" she said sharply. "You humiliated a child. You pointed at him because he looked like an easy target. You didn't ask questions, you just decided he was guilty." Her words hit the cabin like thunder. The officers exchanged glances. One of them spoke quietly into his radio, requesting that Laura be escorted for questioning. She stood frozen, her eyes flickering between Maya, the camera, and the passengers who now looked at her with disgust. Elijah clung to his sister's arm, tears streaming silently down his cheeks. When the officers finally led Laura off the plane, Maya knelt beside him, wiping his face. "It's over," she whispered, voice trembling. "They can't hurt you anymore." And for the first time that day, Elijah finally exhaled. In the days that followed, the story of Elijah and Maya spread far beyond that single flight. What began as a humiliating moment inside a cramped airplane cabin became a nationwide conversation about bias, truth, and courage. The airline issued a public apology to the family, promising a full internal investigation. Laura, the flight attendant, was placed on administrative leave pending review. But none of that could undo what Elijah had endured. The fear, the embarrassment, the way strangers' eyes had burned into him like spotlights. At home, Elijah tried to go back to normal life, school, homework, basketball with friends, but something in him had changed. He spoke less, smiled less. At night, he sometimes woke up from dreams where he was back on that plane, surrounded, accused, unable to speak. Maya noticed everything. She knew the scars that come from being unfairly judged weren't always visible. She tried to lift his spirit, took him out for ice cream, watched movies with him, joked around. But one evening, while editing her camera footage for her grandmother's video, she found herself replaying that moment again and again. The moment her little brother looked at her with tears in his eyes, not because of guilt, but because he didn't understand why. A few days later, Elijah sat beside her at the kitchen table, quiet for a long time before whispering, "Why did she think I did it, Maya?" That question broke her more than anything else. She wanted to tell him it was just a mistake, but she couldn't lie. So she took his hand gently and said, "Some people see what they expect, not what's real. But we showed them the truth, Elijah. And the truth is stronger than any lie." He nodded slowly, tears welling again. But this time, there was a glimmer of pride behind them. Later that night, Maya uploaded her finished video. She titled it, "The Day They Tried to Break My Brother." It wasn't for fame or views. It was a message, a call for empathy, awareness, and change. As the video played, her soft voice narrated, "Sometimes, justice doesn't come from authority. It comes from courage and a camera that refuses to look away." The clip went viral overnight. And in that moment, truth won. If you were in Maya's place, what would you have done? Let me know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more true stories like this.